And we're live. The red light didn't come on.
What's the deal?
Yeah, what is the deal? All right, as I introduce the show here, welcome to the Whine No Whine show, where you can be friended and offended all in the same hour when Steve's phone is still on and we get to hear myself twice.
That's 2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row, Steve.
I'm on a roll.
One more week and you're fired. I'm cutting your pay in half.
No, don't do that. I need the wine.
By two figures, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're gonna pour half a glass. That's his pay right there. Yeah. So welcome to the show. We're gonna start sharing right now as we're doing the show. Welcome to the show. Here we're gonna talk about everything that you're never supposed to talk about, that everybody tells you that you're never supposed to talk about. We're gonna talk about. You know what? I was like, if we could talk about some sex-related subject, and like Chris Cornell, we could literally talk about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, all in one show, right?
It would roll over too.
Yeah. So, but we're gonna have all kind of fun topics today. I promise. Today's wine, we're gonna be drinking a very cool wine from South Africa called the Reserve Bank. The Reserve Bank. Super interesting wine. It's a red blend. It's made, as they said, to be a drinking and eating wine, like good with cheeseburgers, like hearty, grilled meals. And I gotta say, I've already cheated a little bit. I've had a sip. It's pretty tasty. But we're gonna give it a rating as we end up with the show. We're gonna wrap it up with the wine so that you can know if this is a good wine or not and where to find it and all that sort of thing. Anyway, I always give everybody an opportunity to introduce themselves, throw in a shameless plug if they want to, and so this show won't be any different. So we're going to hop over here.
Start with him since
Start with him.
Experience.
I was normally going to go to this side, but that's fine. We'll hop over. Steve is a veteran, so we'll let Steve introduce himself.
Well, thank you very much. All right. Well, my name is Steve Williams, and I've been here for all the weeks that we've done the show. I found that to be a very engaging program, and I've enjoyed everybody's presence, regardless if I agree or disagree with them. I think it's very productive. So, oh, do I look right? Yeah, you are so on my hit list today, man.
The Freudian slip
to the fifth show.
Yes, Randall, introduce yourself.
Well, hey, Randall Chesnutt. Joe and I grew up together. He said, at last minute, I'm gonna let you come on. I like scraping the bottom of the barrel to find somebody.
I have to tell you, I was very nervous about this decision.
And man, I'm always happy to be involved. And when somebody asks me to do two things, either talk and have an opinion, I can do a lot of both of those. And what's ironic, for people who do know me, know that I don't really drink. So I do have a sip, so I can rate the wine. I think I can at least.
I told Randall it was a condition of being on the show. He doesn't drink, but he agreed under intense social pressure, peer pressure, to have a sip of the wine so that he could comment on it.
The cost to have an opinion.
That's right. That was the
This
cost.
Yeah,
of having an
Most
opinion.
people would not have a problem with that. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Heavy burden having to drink wine.
The heavy burden that we bear.
So I tell you what, hold on, I got to get this, get ready here.
I'm trying to share my darn deal. I can't share. There we go.
I had to get rid of the black box.
Finally,
Joe.
there we go.
Because I haven't gotten
Yes.
any of this.
Well,
I got to get rid of the black box.
I had to get rid of the black box stuff. You
Save
saw that
some of
glass
that
I just had. It's
for me.
gone now.
The
so
fancy new carafe. Thank you very much.
That's beautiful, man. Beautiful. Okay. Oh, this is dangerous. Joe is pouring over his clothes.
Yes.
Folks, my name is David Pipkin. Very glad to be back with you. This is my number 3. I'm not able to come every single week like some of the more seasoned veterans of our. Oh, I thought you were.
Oh, yeah, we're going to clink.
To seasoned veterans.
My shameless plugs are, first of all, I have a show tonight. Once again, every Friday night I play at Casa Nueva there at 1960 in Kirkendall, performing music, almost live. I'll be leaving here straight from the show to go over to Casa Nueva, like I said, 1960 in Kirkendall. Also, I am the administrator for the Constitution Party page. It's the Constitution Party, Home of Constitutionists. Look that up on Facebook, and be glad to have you exchange with me on that show.
I'm a new admin on the page.
Yes,
I will be posting entirely inappropriate stuff.
That's right. I had a post that went
Because
someone
we can.
viral that
Flexing my power.
kind of sparked the conversation we're going to have today, and I needed Joe to weed out all the trolls that were coming onto my show.
That's
Weed
why,
out.
That's why you need me.
To
Weed
weed out.
them out, yeah. Weed out the pot trolls. That's
Wow.
right. So,
Nice.
Weed out the weed.
They're going to
Now,
love me.
now I'm
We
starting
got
to
the
see
weed.
why you invited.
We can't say libtards, but I will say pot trolls because
Pot trolls.
are. So
Yes.
I came with one earlier today. I was at the muffin store in Conroe, and
Muffin store.
and
Of all places you would run
I said-
into a weed troll.
Well, I said I want a butt muffin. That's a muffin with butter on it, right?
Oh,
Butt muffin, right? Because it adds to the.
I
All
learned
right,
new
anyway.
vocabulary today.
All right, never mind. Go ahead, Angel.
That sounds all just wrong.
Well, I'm
Angel.
mostly a beer drinker, but since been introduced to Joe, he has changed my ways. And
Yes.
I say it's to the better side.
I'm preaching the wine gospel.
It's been a year
Testify.
of developing a whole art realm. So I just kind of started with Awesome Customs. It's been a whole lot of fun getting to meet a whole art crowd coming out of the kitchen remodels, construction, and just been beautiful, the flow of things. But the way we connected here with Joe has just been a godsend. So I figured hit the GPS and go because it's been great connecting with this wonderful group.
Yes.
And just awesome that the topics that we get to talk about are a lot of things that I actually think about on a daily basis because we are created and designed to love and to socialize, and I think to appreciate of one another's opinions and backgrounds and experience is part of the loveliness of the diversity of God's creation.
Absolutely. And to give a shameless plug, because I gave him the floor to give a shameless plug, and he didn't take it.
I'm a
Right?
humble angel.
That's how humble he is here. This guy is a phenomenal artist when it comes to woodwork, and he brought me a gift today. You can see it right behind me here. I don't know if you can
that's awesome.
right zoom in on it. He makes all kind of custom wood stuff, but when I saw his wine racks, I was like, dude, I've got to have one of those. And I
Yeah,
actually
wherever
said,
you
I was like, hey, I'm going to commission you to make me one. And he said, I already started making you one. So
God
he
had
beat
already
me to
given
it.
me instructions about
Yes.
a month
So you
ago.
looked at Angel and
Hey,
said,
those
"Great
guns,
rack."
those
Yeah.
guns, those guns.
First time I ever told a guy he had a great rack. Yes. Yeah.
I've been working on it. I've been working on it.
Poor Angel. He's got the best shirt though, man.
Yeah, he does. Check it
That's
out.
a color.
Is
I'm
that
gonna
not
have to
an
find a
artist
shirt like that so I
shirt?
can wear it next week.
That's an artist shirt if I ever saw one.
Yep.
So anyway, guys, welcome to the show. These are the guests. This is a live and interactive show. We encourage you to comment and to be a part of the show. This is an ongoing dialogue. America has lost the ability to disagree civilly. And that's the
Okay.
point of this show right here, is that we're going to have conversation about all the stuff that everybody says you shouldn't talk about because it's too contentious. People fight and get angry and like burn things down and they go nuts, right? So we're going to have conversation and show, you know what? It's freaking okay to disagree. You're not going to grow a disagree tumor and die, all right? You'll just have different opinions and it's fine. It's okay.
It's okay to offend people.
It's
Just wake
okay.
up and wake up.
Right, the truth is offensive sometimes. That's just reality. So we're going to have a good time talking about stuff. You guys can chime in right here. Julia says, I love that wine rack and Angel's shirt.
Thanks,
Yes,
Julia.
yes.
I'm actually a Gallegos as well, so it's Angel Adrian Cortez Gallegos. So thank you for that.
I
Got my
know.
family
James,
here.
new to the show here. James Arellano
Yeah, he's
says,
someone
save some for the party.
oh yeah, we're
We're
gonna
going to have a
having
big
this and
wine
more for
tasting event tomorrow. He's concerned that we're already drinking all the wine for tomorrow.
Not
I
at
thank you
all.
for looking out for
Comes
the event
from all
tomorrow,
over the
James. That's
world.
very kind of you.
Yep.
So Julia now being the second person that says they like your rack. So
Thank you. I know. Nice rack. I
I
swear a
didn't
lot
think about that. I had the distinction of being the first. Don't
Also,
I?
hellos to
That's not
Esmeralda and Gotti. They're both Esmeralda. Just
yeah, oh,
with.
Esmeralda just
We're
chimed in.
watching.
Yep,
Big
very
cheers
good.
out to you.
Thank you for
Look
joining
forward
the
to
show.
Tomorrow's event. And Gotti, look forward to seeing you tomorrow. It's the first time she's going to come out to the gallery to actually visit with us.
Very cool.
And she has also commissioned requests. So
At the end of the show, we'll tell you about the wine tasting and art show that's going to happen tomorrow at 3 o'clock. So we'll get you to come out to that. But now we're going to dig in and talk about some stuff that's hitting the news, right? So,
That's a good.
How about business?
hitting the
wise?
news.
How about business?
You like
wise?
that? Pun intended.
dialogue. Dialogue.
I just found out today through some associates that they, our Texas legislature, to get off on the boring government side of this, they just passed a bill, or they're considering a bill that would regulate the Uber ride-sharing service in the state. Their intent is to take away the local municipalities' control over regulating those businesses. Like Austin, they kind of put a clamp down on it. But what they've done is they thought, well, hey, this is a great idea. Not. That what we'll do is we'll say, okay, the state now is going to take over that business. We're going to regulate it, and we're going to charge a fee. Now, does somebody want to care to guess for a businessman, if you want to offer your car for a ride service, following Uber's rules and state regulations, how much it's going to cost you in the state now to operate as an Uber driver?
Wow.
Is this,
How much?
is
How
this
much?
an annual
This
fee?
is
Well, it's gonna require different
this is
insurance.
a fee that I'm not sure what the term is, but to get kick-started on it, it's going to cost you $5,000.
Of course, they got to get their share.
So,
They gotta let you
well,
make
I don't
$5,000.
think, personally, that to me is big government.
Mhm.
I
That
don't-
is
I
100%
believe
big
in-
government.
I don't believe in big government. I think that it needs to be out of our pocketbooks as much as possible. If you want to offer your car to strangers and ride these people around and
That should be
do
your
the
own
business,
prerogative.
grow the business, then the state has no business other than, hey, your car has to be registered and all this other tax stamps, whatever, to do their thing. But if you want to offer a service, you charge your rate. But the state doesn't, they're not doing anything but clamping down on somebody's ability to form a
They
business.
didn't do that when people had businesses that they did that. Like limousines, what's the difference?
Oh, there's always
It's not $5,000.
there's always been
Insurance
licensing
policies,
things.
But
yeah.
it's not $5,000.
They get on everything. I mean,
But it's
and
not
that's-
$5,000.
I guess it would
Here's
be
the for me the kind of the overarching viewpoint is the market always finds a way to adapt, and basically Uber is a response to the inflation of prices to go a short distance and being charged an exorbitant amount. It's not
in a dirty, stinky cab.
right,
Yeah.
and it's not the taxis company's fault.
No, it's not their fault.
Right?
But it's
I actually have close friends of mine that own a taxi company, right? It's not their fault that they have to adhere to all the regulation and all of the over taxation and over licensing and over fees and all this kind of stuff in order to operate a legitimate business. So they have an opinion that they're very set on about Uber, right? Because they're playing along by the state rules, right? But along comes the market, and the market says, yeah, that's BS. I don't want to pay that much to go from here to there. Let's figure out a better way. And so the market yielded Uber. And now the state is coming along again to jack that up.
But once
Right.
again, the biggest impediment to growth is always government.
Yep.
Always.
No,
And this
no,
is
it's lawyers.
my common theme is
It's lawyers. Yes,
Well,
that's
who
right
are
there.
in
No,
government?
but
Who's
That's right there with
government
it. I mean,
creates
it's
that need. I mean, look at the IRS code. It's the same thing. I mean,
Again,
that's why
lawyers.
we have to hire accountants to do our income taxes. It ought to be a very simple thing.
Yeah.
What did you make? 10%. That's one would pay. Or don't do income tax at all. I'm with you. I actually agree with more of a consumption tax model, and I don't mean to get off on that.
That's where I live.
But this, to me, my take on
It says
this, again,
consume.
going back to Constitution Party principles,
Mhm.
and this, you and I was telling Joe earlier today, you're very recruitable to the Constitution Party. I'm gonna plant that seed for you because you and I
just got
actually agree.
VIP
I'm waiting
invitation.
for the invite to come on and do what Joe does.
I'd
to
love
administer.
to.
Ask
You
him,
know,
ask him to serve wine, I'm sure.
No, I'd love to have you because here's the thing: what we see over and
Add him
over
to the
again.
page, you heard.
Here we are in Texas, in a red state, solid red state, been solid red for more than 20 years, and we're still seeing the
Whether
same.
they
going
like it or
blue.
not,
We're
whether-
still
whether
seeing the
they
same
like it or not.
problems as what Democrats do. We've got a Republican Congress, or Republican House, Republican Senate, Republican President, and we're seeing the Democrat agenda come out. It's more and more evidence there is no two-party system. It's a one-party system. It's a corrupt duopoly, and
Yep.
it's not about supporting a third party. It's about getting to a second party.
Yeah. What problems look any different than 100 years ago with those three parties? Because the independent you can consider as a party as well. Nothing has changed.
Well, the
It's still
Republican
same
Party
problem.
started
We
off as a
just
third
have more
party.
technology.
If you
today.
go back-
there are more
Most
people
important thing.
engaged today at varying levels through social media and grassroots involvement, things of that nature. And being an elected official, the lowest rung on the political ladder, I get to see a lot of it from both sides. And when I see friends of mine and other people that I know of that are in Austin or in DC doing things that are not what they said they were going to do, there's some wiggle room in that. I have always said to people that get involved in politics it's okay to compromise your politics. Absolutely, I want you to do that.
under the Constitution.
Right, but that's the umbrella. That's the overall umbrella. There's people that exploit that though. But I'm getting off track here. I think it is absolutely abhorrent. I think it is absolutely a lack of character if you compromise your principles. I would never, ever, ever ask a Democrat, liberal, to compromise their principles. Never ask it. I have too much respect for a person's core values, and I expect that in return. So if we have a meeting of the minds where we don't see eye to eye on things, there's ways to figure out a way to get to, I think you can find a way. It's just people, when they say that, they say, yeah, right, Steve, you're so full of it. It's just, well, get into the mix of these things. Get into these debates. Get into these programs like this. If you don't get yourself involved, how do you grow? How do you improve your message? How do you learn how other people think about this? Because if you don't know how the other side thinks about this stuff, get in there and wade around in it, try to figure it out, try to see if there's some value to it. I would expect them to do that with me, but
So,
it's just,
let me ask you a question.
it's
then.
hard to.
And I don't know, this may be a tough question to ask this group. I don't know, because I think we're a lot on the same page here. There really is, I mean, we've reached a dividing point in America where there's a body of people that believes that government is the solution, that government is the answer, and we need more government and bigger government and more involvement of government in our lives, versus the opposing view that says government is the problem, right? And I really think that's a summation of where we're at as a nation. And we see that in this ever-increasing hostility among Americans, right? When there's a party affiliation going on, right?
Even over disagreements in the same camp.
Yeah, even within disagreements within the same camp, right? So within the Republican Party, we have rhinos, right? Republicans in name only. McCain's and these types, who in essence really are Democrats in their practice or political beliefs, right? In that they're very much pushing for a bigger government. They just have a R behind their name. I don't know of any Democrats that are limited government mindset. I think they're pretty much all consistent in
The
that
only
sense.
example of that I can remember in my political history is a guy named Zell Miller.
So I was just thinking the same thing.
Zell Miller
came out for Bush.
yeah, I remember
2000,
meeting him at
That's
a
awesome
convention
that
we
you
had
guys
here
are
in Houston
actually
years
aware
ago.
of it. I appreciate that.
So what do we do? What is? I mean, do we just?
Well, let me answer.
This is my attempt.
Let me answer your question. I want to go
This
back
is
to
our-
something you said because
that's a
I had to
good-
turn that over in my
great
mind for a second. When
That's
you
fine.
said I wouldn't ask a Democrat to change their principles, here this is my big mantra these days. People talking about the left and the right and Democrats and Republicans and all that stuff. When you have a Democrat Party that runs an avowed communist for the United States of America, yes, I'm going to ask him to change his principles because that is not constitutional. The thing that I love about the Constitution Party, okay, is it's the one party that ties itself to something that is concrete, that you can put your hands on and read. Here is what our founders laid out. Joe did a beautiful job in, I believe it was episode 1, when you talked about the thesis for our government being that we are created beings by God, right? Our rights come from God, and the purpose of government is to protect and preserve those rights, okay? And everything else that follows from the Declaration of Independence to the Constitution and how our government is laid out is underneath that umbrella, okay? When you step outside that umbrella, yes, I'm going to demand that you change your principles because at that point you are no longer fighting for the America of our founding. Yes, I'm going to ask you to change your principles.
Well,
Hey,
what you have
in
is
the
a
Constitution?
political ideology. The political affiliations that we have, the Republicans, the Democrats, the Libertarian Party. You go down the list of organized political parties, and really those are in a sense just a club, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Okay, it is a mechanism to allow you to affiliate with a group that allows you to run for office. There's mechanisms that allow us to do these things, and the way I look at it, there's also internal party leadership positions. We have those, and it's all, somebody could come on fire and be a new person on the block and achieve great things for themselves, and it's in conjunction with the movement, with an ideology.
But the
Conservatism is an ideology. Liberalism is an ideology.
Yes.
Libertarianism is an ideology.
And what does it mean? The Libertarian Party ran a third Democrat this last election. It wasn't even Libertarian. Johnson was another Democrat. The biggest difference is that he was more vocal about his, and it's going to go to our key issue today, right? He was more vocal in his support of legalizing marijuana. He was the most vocal advocate of that.
Mm-hmm.
That is the only distinction. Everything else was big government solutions, right?
Yep.
So, and this is my point. Bring your ideologies. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care what your ideologies are. You can be a liberal, you can be a conservative, you can call yourself a person of the left or person of the right. You can call yourself a socialist, a communist, or whatever else. But when you come into that room to debate what our government is going to do, it is under the umbrella of the Constitution. If it doesn't fit, get rid of it.
That's
And
right.
how many amendments have we made to the Constitution?
We've made 26.
Okay, then, so,
27.
so when those people come to that debate under that office,
What do they
how are they
present
gonna
now?
debate about it if they don't have an issue to talk? You're making it sound like that they, whatever the Constitution says, deal with it.
Okay.
But you
Well,
can't,
that's
Because
started the whole
segue
thing.
right
it's a
into
framework.
It's
It's a
what started
framework.
and started our
but you
our
want,
actual
but
freedom.
you're telling
It
like,
started in America.
you got this concrete document that says, hey, here's how we're gonna do it.
The
And then we
framework.
say, okay, yeah, but we don't wanna do it
But
that way
it's
no
what
more.
worked for
Well,
how
right.
many
The
years? It's what worked
Constitution
for us.
is a controller of the process.
That's right.
That's
we,
exactly
we
what
had
it is. You
slavery at
don't
the
wanna
time we were
destroy the
founded.
process.
And
Women
because of the
couldn't vote.
Constitution, that's right, because of the Constitution, we were able to make sure we got rid of slavery. We were able to make sure women could vote. Our founders in their wisdom recognized it's not perfect and will never be perfect because it's man-made.
Yeah.
Our government is man-made. As long as men are involved, we're gonna jack
correct
it up.
How about that
That's
weed
right.
is, that weed
I
is
said jack it up.
nature
That,
made.
that'll jack it up differently. That'll
How about that?
That'll make a little bit more freaking noise.
So here's what, here, I wanna put my input on this, cause it's important to me.
Jump in.
And I'm gonna have to drink that wine after this.
Flex that tattoo as
At
well.
the end of the day.
At the end of the day.
Throughout history, if you can go all the way back, the same issues that they had in Roman times is the exact same issues that we have today. And the exact same excuses that people have why they wanna do it, why they shouldn't do it. Because nothing has changed in the way that our minds work. That the mind is exactly the same. Number one, the mind needs to always find meaning. And back to what we debated before when the camera wasn't on, that everyone on this planet operates in one's own self-interest, and that's never gonna change. Once someone has something in their mind
It
that
will
they
drive
believe,
it will drive
that
them
they
to-
believe to be true, they're rarely gonna come off of that because they would have to be wrong.
Well, but
And people don't wanna be wrong.
It falls along the realm that no matter how many times you say a lie, it will eventually become truth. Now, does it make it truth? No, it
Right.
doesn't. It's still a lie.
Yeah, people may believe it, doesn't
The
make it
sense
true.
of why it's been repeated so often from Rome, from back other civilizations, is because once they step out of the fundamentals of how our country was able
Yeah.
to survive, is because we stepped out of that oppression, of that dictatorship or whatever it might be, imperialism, and we're able to follow God's instructions. That's why America developed and became an independent, free country.
Well, I think
So
the
once we step
Native
out of
Americans
that,
would
it's
disagree.
bound to repeat itself
I
to
think the Native
why
Americans
we
would
left
disagree.
England
My grandmother was a Blackfoot
hundreds of
Indian,
years ago.
right? And the Native Indians would disagree that somebody came to their land that they didn't even believe that they actually owned it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But somebody come and said,
So
now I'm
then
gonna
they're
take
like,
so now I'm gonna take it and you're
then
gonna
he just
own it.
produces
I'm gonna
paperwork that says
and I'm gonna kick you out and
authorized
I'm gonna
to do
make
it.
you and I'm gonna put you
That's
in a
an
little
awesome
box.
Jaguar you own, Steve. I'm glad you don't own it. Hand me the
Yeah.
keys.
You know, it is so hypocritical
I'll take it.
and so ironic that the argument that these people constitutionalists use, if you go back and you say, hold on a minute, what did these people do
I wish I knew
when
the
they came
history
here?
that
Who was here before you?
I wish I knew
Not
the
you, I mean the
history.
constitutionalist
I understand what you're saying.
ideology
I understand what
is.
you're saying, but that's just not how it works. The change.
What
change
works?
happens over time. There was no ill-gotten gain.
There was no ill-gotten gain, so if I
No.
come to your house and say, hey, you know what, this is
What
no
are the
longer
comments
yours, I'm
like?
taking it.
If you
And
have
And I'm
a
gonna
gold,
make a new law
if
why
you
you
have a
can't have
gold
it.
What are the
coin
comments
and you
saying?
offer to sell it to me for $5,
Yeah.
I'm going to take that deal.
We're not talking about a gold coin though.
I know.
We're talking
You're
about
right.
an
We're talking about
ideology.
land. We're talking about Manhattan.
Okay, so we came here
Got that for
from,
about a song.
Exactly.
we left,
Right.
so.
Hang on,
Okay.
hang on, guys.
Yes, sir.
Let each other talk.
So we left an
Green beans.
oppressive government,
Green
or
beans.
they left the king,
That's the code
right? They
word.
left the
Green
king,
beans.
you know, the king to form a new land, right? They came across the ocean, and wherever they
What
landed.
was their drive?
Plymouth Rock, to start a new life, to get from out and under an oppressive government that told them what to do, and what they did. In the beginning, they did it off of the ideology that they would send back the resources to the country, because it was actually the country and said, "Hey, we're sending the people over here. We want you to send all those resources back over here." And they
That was
decided
the original agreement. I mean,
That
those
was
guys,
the original
they knew
agreement.
I
that
thought
the
they had to
opportunity
escape.
was there.
I thought they wanted to escape. It wasn't that they were sent.
It depends who you ask.
That wasn't the only drive, though. The drive was to spread the gospel, to share Christianity.
Yeah.
Well, they were looking for religious freedom. They didn't like the prosecution.
I'm going back to Christopher Columbus.
That was the same thing.
Persecution for their religious
Oh,
beliefs.
Christopher
I
Columbus
wish I knew the
was
history
an
years
entrepreneur.
ago that I just learned here months ago from that movie Monumental.
Right. I was going to reference that.
It was actually, it wasn't, I mean, there was people who came here way before that.
The Puritans came here way
Yeah.
before. There was different groups of people, and,
Well, Columbus was
and
before
they
the
had
Puritans.
John Cabot was before that.
So anyway, look, we're getting kind of down a rabbit hole. here,
Discombobulated.
right?
We're getting down in the weeds.
You invite
Hey,
a weirdo, you get a lot of
just
weird
some
weeds.
guys.
we can get
Weird
we can get
vibes.
into the weeds of arguing
Weird.
about the Indians or not. If we want to go down that road, we can do that. I don't know how much all of us have read on that subject or not.
I'm not familiar.
So, what is a point that we can reference as a historical fact is that to his point, we had a group of people who created a system of government based on a set of beliefs. They had we say thesis statement. They had an overarching idea, concept of what the purpose of government was. Right? They said in the Declaration, they said, we hold these truths to be self-evident, to be self-aware, anybody should be able to know and understand that because we're all created, we therefore are created equally. And through that creation process, since we are created, we have certain rights that are inalienable. Nobody can take them away. You can say that you take them away, you can force me to agree with you by gunpoint or whatever else, but it does not take my freedoms away. And that's the first part. And the second part said that because of that, governments are instituted to ensure that we have those rights, right? That was
But
their
they
whole,
are not there to assert those unalienable
right,
rights.
right. So that was their starting point for saying why government existed. Now, we can like that, we can not like that.
That's right.
To his point, where I'm in between with these two things here is that I know where you were going with saying it's a concrete thing that you like it or not, take it, just deal with it, right? Their point was, look, here's the way freedom works. Here's the way we have rights, and this is why government exists, right? And they came up with this concept based on that thesis premise, and they said, based on that, here's the outline of the function of government. And that document created the freest, most prosperous body of people in the history of the world. And that is a demonstrable fact. It's not an opinion. It is demonstrable fact. Now, you say,
It's a balancing act.
yeah. I've noticed once it gets down to the last, it's kind of scary.
This is
Right?
real
It's a
interesting.
slush.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do it back up if
Here,
in case.
I'll help you.
Now, to your point, you're saying
Yeah, I'd do that.
this group of people is like, hey, this is the way it is. Take it or leave it.
Thanks.
This is the premise that we're operating under. Deal with it. All right? And to an extent, I get that. I agree. I don't think people should come into that system and just arbitrarily pull pieces out and say, oh, God has no place in government. No, that's not what the Founding Father says, and that's not the system that they set up. And you're here now, and so you get to play by those rules, and if you don't like the rules, then there's a system for change. There's a method for change.
I wish there was a way that we could teach more people about the processes. I'm not going to bowl over you guys.
I
with the
recommend starting a
minutiae.
show where you drink wine.
Right, but
Teach people what processes they like.
right.
Somewhere.
The thing is, what I'm trying to say is that there is a process. Any citizen in this country can get involved at the local level. You get into
Most people
we
just
have
go along and get along.
we have a process where we have primaries. party primaries, where we kind of glean through the actual candidates going through the motions to be selected to represent you in the regular ballot. So in that process, the people that go and vote in those primaries in this state, at least, are invited to come in after the polls close on those primary days, and you get to hold what's known as a precinct convention. It is the lowest denomination political subdivision in our state. And in that precinct convention, guess what you can do? You can introduce a resolution to decriminalize marijuana. We'll get back to that.
Or allow God to be taught in our public
Or,
schools.
yes, things of that. You can put it in a resolution format. It is discussed, debated through Robert's Rules of Order. All of these things that help. It doesn't matter what your political ideology is. It's a valued process. And from the precinct convention, those resolutions are all gathered up, and those are submitted to the party to be introduced and collated into what is known as the senatorial district convention process, the next step up, or the county convention. In Harris County here, we have.
I think you just lost like 90% of the
But
population.
see, this is the process of involvement.
That's why
I mean, that's the process.
Such a
Once
slow
you get through the
process.
senatorial
That's right.
district convention, then that's up to state.
But
where
you got to live 50 years to see it happen.
That's
Right.
right.
And I think
So-
it's such a
That's
slow
not
process.
true.
It does take a long
I
time
think
to
we do
change.
shows like this, and we
It does take a
actually
long
get awakening of people that can kind of view
I
that
don't.
side.
I want people to get involved in that process, because then they start learning
But-
how
but it
to
takes-
get
but
in
this-
and
This
get
is where
their
you and I
views.
part company, though, because this is the thing. The Republicans in Texas have been in control for 25 freaking years or more, right?
Mhm.
And what are we teaching in the public schools? What are we teaching in our textbooks? My daughter can't go to her library and check out a Bible. That's not where we started as a country. We started as a country using the Bible as a teaching tool,
Yes.
right? All of a
Commissioned
sudden,
by Congress, no less.
the history that you and I agree upon, that we know is true, is forbidden teaching in our public school system.
Right. Civics is no longer taught.
Who's in charge? You got a government-controlled public
Man-made
education system.
system.
You got Democrats and Republicans, and I say again, that is not two parties. One party.
One party.
It gives us the illusion of opposition while presenting a duopoly. It's a corrupt duopoly that gives us one agenda that we keep moving. Here's God, and we keep moving further and
And
further
they're
left.
controlling the processes. But if the process is not taught, who
But
here
your
remembers being
system-
taught civics in high
But the
school or in
system is
junior
not.
high?
The stuff you're
I
tied
do.
into, Steve, the system you're tied into, it's like Angel said, it's a slow process. And it's made that way for a purpose, because it's a control.
Then it's ripe to regain that system for more people
Show
to get
me.
involved. If I lost people in this audience because I started talking about the process, then that's the problem. I'm just trying to introduce that. If people are interested in getting involved in politics, then by gosh, man, that is
But it
that
didn't
is the
used to be
mechanism.
that hard to get
It is
involved.
there.
Well, I think a major sticking point in all politics and all government, I'm gonna say it again, it's lawyers. We got too many lawyers. This is why. I'm
It's
gonna tell you
true.
why.
It is
This
true.
is
I
why.
agree with you.
Because lawyers are trained to be right.
Well,
And
they're
they can't be
given
wrong.
words.
So if you got
They're
two
given
people
books.
who are talking about an issue and you wonder why they could never come to agreement, because they're trained to
They're
not.
taught to actually.
Well, and
They gotta be
dilute
right.
and they discombobulate things
And
too.
I don't like that. This is some things I don't like. I don't like having too many lawyers in there. I do not like lawyers.
What do you think about
So,
insurance
I don't.
agents?
It's not the people. I just don't like lawyers.
So the question
don't
is,
like-
should we kill lawyers?
No.
Or insurance
No.
agents.
There's a use
I'm
for them for
offended.
sure.
Yes.
But here's the thing.
We need about
Um,
1/10.
I'd like
You
to
look
find
at-
out what that
You
is.
look at people. How long has John McCain been in the senator? You look at all these people. How are they lifelong politicians, and why?
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
What do
it
they
is.
know about him? If they came into office, what was the guy who was in like 90 years old? He was like a politician for 70
Thurm.
And he still got a paycheck, didn't he?
years. Well, I mean, it's not that. It's like,
Who is it?
Yeah, I know you're talking about. Well,
yeah, there's a number of them. There's a
Bird.
number
There's a
of
bunch
them.
of them, yeah.
William, what's his name? William Byrd, whoever it was, former
40
KKK
years.
Grand Kliegel.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and
There's a lot of
Grand
people.
Poobah.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man.
It's because good people that have good foundations in beliefs and moral, virtuous. I'm not talking about biblical virtuous. Virtue. I'm talking about simply knowing the value of the difference between right and wrong. If you know what's good, if you know what's right, and you know what's wrong, then step up. That's why we don't see very many people. There's
Strong.
There's-
yes.
Yeah.
Strong
millions of
That's-
people out there
thank you.
that could
Good old
possibly replace a lot of these people that are
Welcome to back up.
dictating policy to us.
Yeah,
Right.
but it's
So-
so expensive for somebody to take over that no one can afford to do it except for
That's
somebody
it.
who has somebody who
Bingo.
has a vested interest in getting there. And the people who have a vested interest in there is probably the people you don't want in there.
So here's let me give you this fact, and this blows up everything we're talking about right now. Okay, 2016, the year of the insurgent, according to the one and only Sean Hannity. Right, this was the year of the insurgent. The outsider was going to come in and take over. Right, and what did we get? Trump versus Hillary. Yeah.
What did they say about
Tell me
that?
about the year of the
What-
insurgent. Right,
What was
that's
that they
all
said about that?
establishment.
Well, Steve, you need to choose between the lesser of the two evils. Well, you know what? I reject that premise. I say I don't want to choose the evil of the two lessers. That's how I answer
That's
that.
right.
Well,
So
I voted for
that's-
good TV.
Oh yeah.
TV's
I was
gonna
trying to
be-
help out CNN.
Oh,
CNN was struggling. They were close to going out of business.
The Communist
David
News
Letterman-
Network.
David Letterman was struggling to get the late show as well.
Hey.
They led
The Communist News Network was definitely benefited by Trump.
Well,
They
so
Give
was
lots of
Fox News.
material.
they need to change their moniker to TNN, the Trump News Network, because I think anytime
Groovy.
I've ever accidentally cruised through the channels and landed on CNN, they're talking about Trump. And I love how they refer to him as Mr. Trump. Has anyone caught that? Like, I didn't vote for the guy, but if you watch CNN, they will refer to him as Mr. Trump.
Yes.
That's a very subtle
That's an insult.
media kind of a thing.
Yeah,
And
it's
you
a
know what?
subtle little.
I have to say that Fox News, the network, they do the same thing. They did the same thing with
Oh,
Obama.
Fox is just as bad.
Mr. Obama, Mr. Obama. They did the same thing. And you know what, truthfully? I didn't approve of Obama, but I thought that was insulting to the office.
Absolutely.
The office is what needs to be respected. The man or woman that ascends to that position, they have a responsibility, but they're going to do what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And whether you
All right.
agree with them or not, that's they still are the president.
Joe's calling out of his skin again. Hold on.
Okay.
All right, no,
Mr.
I'm just
Moderator.
going to say,
Greetings.
Give him right.
first of all, we've had a bunch of people tune in. Maria, hey, thanks for being a part of the show. Renee, thanks for tuning in. We've had a bunch of people tune in. Stephanie said, "Groovy set, boys." Thank you, Steph. Stephanie's going to be on the show next week. So
That's
you
all
know,
because of Angel.
Yeah, it's
Gotta
Angel's
be the
it's
collar.
Angel's cool shirt.
Yeah.
You know,
weirdo
you know,
in there. That's
right.
Groovy.
So let's jump in here. Like, ask the audience here: should marijuana be legalized in all of the states? I mean, marijuana. You got to admit, guys. Last election, marijuana I think had more popularity than Hillary.
Oh,
Right?
I'm glad
It made. I think. I literally think marijuana won more states than Hillary did.
If you're gonna give me that
That's actually
choice,
pretty profound.
if you're
I'm
gonna give me that
serious.
choice, I
You
will
will be the
choose that
pot
lesser evil. Yes.
Right.
I'll be a pot troll.
I think it's a serious stat. I think marijuana won more states than Hillary did.
I think so.
So anyway, we had talked about this beforehand, and this is going to be our last half. Angel shirt rocks my world.
Wow, I've got a
Yeah,
fan.
yeah.
I'm glad I came in today.
That's right.
The girls selected it outside.
Yes,
actually.
our
I gave them an
girls here at
option.
the office picked the shirt for Angel
You
to
have
wear
a
today.
wardrobe back there?
Right,
I
right,
mean,
right.
I could have changed to that.
I could have
Yeah,
chose
wardrobe.
this or chose that, but I said, no, let me go a little accessorize.
Yeah, he had like a full head of Burt Reynolds hair when he came in here. I said, no.
They shaved him off.
We shaved it right off for the show. So I mean, that's the
Come
commitment.
on, because I got a lot of pot issues I want to get out. 'Cause I got a
He is
lot
so
of
ready.
and I am so,
So,
ready for this one.
We're asking our audience: should pot be legalized in all of the states? Yes or no?
And this is
Comment.
where the
Let's
views
see
and
what
the
you
Be
think.
sure
thumbs
to
up
comment,
come into the like
comment
or
it,
the
and
unlike.
share.
Come on, Esther.
You won't get
Do me
unfriended.
good.
Well,
Do me justice.
Why don't we try this? So we lead off, everybody gets a little bit of their opinion on it, and then we can debate as a
Good
group.
call.
Okay. I am not in agreement of the recreational use of marijuana, the smoking of it. I do agree that there are some derivatives
Juggling
of
it,
the,
however, is totally fine.
Yeah. There are some medical uses for it that can be
Recreational.
derived from that plant that are not intoxicating or not inhibiting at all, and they do some value. I want the
He said doo-doo.
legal. Yeah, duty.
I'm sorry.
Let's talk about your duties. Anyway, that's where I stand on that. I think there's some use for it, but just if you want to do something in your own home, I am really just not that big of I don't throw rocks at that. I won't do that. But when you interact with public in an intoxicated manner and you put yourself and others in danger, then we have a little bit of an issue. But
Okay, so I have questions on that.
yeah, go ahead. That's my position on it.
All right, go ahead. I'll come back to it. Randall,
Okay.
where you say we're just kind of getting a feel for
Go,
where everybody's
Randall.
at.
So first off, let me say I've never done any drug in my whole life.
How can you voice a
He's a
There's not one
fly.
person that
I
can
don't
ever
drink
come.
wine either.
I promise you, I've never smoked weed. Ever,
I've
none of
known him
that.
30 plus years. I can vouch for
Never.
that.
I rarely even drink. But I
That
do
is awesome.
believe in the right for humans to have a choice to do that. If they want to drink, they should have the right.
Paul
There's
gave
laws
us that,
that
right?
cover whether they should be driving or operating equipment, just like they do with alcohol. A cigarette. I mean, you could go down the line. There's sugar is killing more people than all of those put
Then
together.
all of the drugs are heroin.
But
Cassie
those
chimed
things
in.
are okay. In fact, you probably take your kids to get ice cream. All of that stuff is good, and we're okay with allowing drug companies to show prescription drugs to our kids because they watch TV
To the
too,
elementary level.
and make it seem that it's okay for prescription drugs. But we have a huge epidemic. But yet we have these people who are pissed off about marijuana. Marijuana. What are you going to do? Eat some Cheetos, some ho-hos? I mean, all those people, they need the help.
Joe Rogan.
Hostess.
It supports an industry.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is unlikely. It is unlikely that someone who is smoking pot in its natural form will do anything outrageous.
All right, so Randall is for a yes.
Yes, that's my.
So we're getting yes nos, and then we're going around.
With that
Well, I'm not
with that
necessarily a no.
That
I'm
shirt,
just
I may
saying there's a
try it, he
process
says.
that
Let me
we
wear
can
it
take
and
a-
I'll-
You're personally,
take a
you're
hit.
against it, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to
Legalize or
on
not?
that, but if somebody wants to do it, but if there are medicinal
Legalize or
derivatives
not?
of it,
I have the same
legalized,
opinion about stray
recreational
cats.
use.
recreational
Stray
use,
cats.
no,
Stray
but
cats.
the
Same
medical
thing they do
industry,
does.
yes.
I mean,
Oh,
look,
they don't bug me,
can
I won't kill 'em.
before Joe goes, can we all agree that for medicinal use, we're all okay with that? Is that, are you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Everyone
I know
agree
a
with
lot
that
of
for
seizures.
medicinal
Okay,
use?
so everybody's
Okay.
on board with
Okay,
medicinal.
we're talking about
seizures.
just recreational use.
Yep. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, there's definitely a libertarian streak for me, and
Why'd you look at me when you said that?
Because he was with me last week.
Because he can't look at me when he says that.
We're limited on time. Come on, I'm ready to hear it. You've got 20 minutes.
Legalized like alcohol, no doubt for medicinal. Bobby, yeah. We have Cassie chiming in with a yes. Stephanie, you said lies. Lies. Just
Why are there
bashing it.
lies?
So you're gonna have to clarify, Stephanie, because we don't know what you were saying lies to, because
She
there's
probably
a
has
delay.
a problem with
And
me.
there's
Right?
4 people up
So
on here.
you got to chime in and let us know what the lies are, so we can talk about it on the show. My libertarian side of me says that I don't see marijuana anywhere near the same as I see cocaine, heroin, those type of things.
Pharmaceuticals.
I definitely don't see it anywhere different than alcohol. That's probably maybe a controversial, kind of a statement, right? They're both mind altering, and the degree that I've seen and been around, it's not much difference between the two. Definitely, people on alcohol tend to get more violent and angry. People with pot definitely
Just
seem
wait
to
till
like
20 minutes.
chill out and want to eat. So, between the two, in bars, marijuana would probably be the better option than alcohol. So, from a hypocrisy standpoint, for me, I'm like, you can't say alcohol is legal and then ban marijuana. That's kind of where I'm at, but I'm on the fence with it. I'm not like a hard yes or a hard no either way. I definitely know there's pros and cons.
They said that, Stephanie says that the lie was spoken when that guy who has never smoked it, he said
Oh.
that's a lie.
Stephanie!
You've been around
Oh,
others
hang
calling
on.
you out, Randall.
Hang on. Let me back up here.
Oh,
to
man,
that
I'm
point,
sorry.
Stephanie,
I thought
because
she was going to come after me.
people
She probably will.
often
You
take
didn't
that
say you never did
stance,
it.
right? Both Randall and I have known each other since 1985. That was the year we met, 1985. So do the math on that. We have spent boatloads of time with each other in all of the party settings. neither of us have ever done any kind of drug other than alcohol, right here, and tobacco. If you count that, I've smoked cigars. I've never smoked a cigarette. I don't think you ever smoked a cigar.
Preferably, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't even count it.
Yeah, so I mean, but anyway, alcohol, maybe the puff on the cigar for us, but apart from that, never smoked weed, never done coke, never done X, whatever was the popular thing. Neither of us, never been there. So I can vouch for him, he'll vouch for me. I don't know if that's like circular reasoning, but
Yeah, like good guy. I'll take your word for it.
Give a dance.
yes, I got you right. You got me. All right, we're good. Yeah, see, there we go. So anyway, I can testify. I got his back on that one.
Okay, so up front, I'm a hard no. And I will say that I've been researching this somewhat over the past couple of months. I'm not up to speed on all the chemicals and all the things like everyone talks about, but I will say that what I've discovered in looking at this, and probably the best article I've read on this, is one that came from the Hudson Institute. This was one of the pieces that I posted on the Constitution Party page that has sparked all this controversy. A lot of the views that you guys have expressed about the safety of marijuana or how addictive it is, or comparing it to alcohol as a standard for comparison, has been based on research that has been heavily misrepresented. Marijuana, I would view more akin to a poison, not a drug. That's how bad this is. Okay, and that's one of the things that we have to be able to be willing to have a debate on, even on my own page with the Constitution Party. Now, a lot of these, like I said, I don't know how many of these were Constitutionist people that were coming at me about this, because the issue with this is that merely by me posting negative facts about marijuana, there was an automatic assumption that I was advocating for a federal banning, right? They just there's such an anti-government sentiment out there that they're jumping off the deep end to where if you propose any kind of government solution, they're actually accusing me of not being a constitutionist, okay? Think about that for a minute, right? Not even being conservative, being a constitutionist. So, we've got to stop with the reactionary stuff on this and look at hard data, and also realize we don't know a lot. There is, we were talking about this before we went on the air. There's evidence to suggest, now Steve is saying that it's not as potent, but I've been seeing evidence to say that the marijuana of today has THC levels that are 4 to 5 times that of what it was 40 years ago when we had the study that talked about the brain damage that marijuana does. I want to share this with you. This is just from the Hudson Institute. I'll read this. This gives you my basis for the no. It won't be very long. Give me a minute, okay? It says, that means this study population catches those who have ever used the substance. This is a popular study that has been done that a lot of the facts you're citing has been represented in the media to put forth that narrative, right? They're saying if they've ever used it even once, they're a part of that study, okay? This is not like tobacco and alcohol that we drink regularly, several times a day in some cases. And the more of this wine you give me, the more I'm going to drink, right? Right. It says some may use regularly, but many are simply those who try the substance perhaps once in youth or perhaps once a year for a couple of years. Such a measure is not the prevalence category that enables us to arrive at the conclusion which we are encouraged to arrive at, which is the question of whether repeated continuous exposure, say weekly or monthly, to the substance in question itself leads to the habitual deepening of use which characterizes dependency and addiction. And then it goes on to say, there is further reason for caution. The study did not stop with cannabis, but went on to examine lifetime exposure to a large variety of drugs in comparison to their dependence profile. The next drug on the list is cocaine. And the figures for cocaine are that 19.5% of the study population had used cocaine in their lifetime, with 3.5% showing dependence. This should trouble us. If you go off the data in this study, here's the conclusion that he goes in this part of the article. According to the data, the same data you guys are citing, using to cite your stats on how safe marijuana is, tobacco and alcohol are more addictive than crack cocaine. Now, if you buy that, and if you don't see that there's a problem with the interpretation of that data, based on that,
We'll come back to that, because I'm very familiar with the Hudson Institute, the Cato Institute, and you'll change your mind. I want to hear what you say.
fair enough. But there I am.
Yeah.
I'm a hard no.
Angel needs his crack at this.
Yeah.
So.
Do I get one? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
no, you
actually.
did. You're wearing
I
a shirt.
didn't mean
that
crack, but
You got the
With
shirt.
a shirt like that, you get.
I'm
you
like,
get
that. He was the
shot.
dude in the club that was doing the lights
In-
like
in
this.
fact,
had the floor.
You
I
and
grew
Joe.
up in Los Angeles, so.
You and Joe should
I
change
follow that.
seats.
You
That's
know
what I
you're
think.
thinking that.
You two need to change seats. He's got the shirt.
Yes, I know. I wore purple thinking
Go ahead. I wanna
I'd be
know.
the guy, but then he stepped up the
I
game.
grew up in Los Angeles, and I was
Oh,
a
there
very
we
young
go.
kid.
Discount all that.
In all the wrong environments, probably.
Oh well,
I should
forget
have
it. Then
been
you're off the
raised in.
show.
I did, exactly. You don't have an opinion.
He had his
You've
wine.
been exposed to way too much
Yeah.
early on. No, I actually have smoked, and I think as an adult, we know our capabilities in our own self, and we should be able to deter from those that don't allow us to maintain control. The moment we lose control of our bodily functions, of what we actually speak, of what we actually think, and we let it express us, I think that's the moment that we lose control. And we should be able to, you know.
So it should be
the freedom-
legal up to that point.
To me, it's not about legality or not. I think we should, if we follow the fundamentals of
Just
God-given.
Personal regulation.
Yeah, our own personal.
Self-regulation.
Yes, that's actually what we
So that's kind of an
started with.
argument. That's an argument for legalization then.
Legalization is what I'm for, not for the sense of abuse, because I think we all have our own levels of tolerance. And even drugs, just as all these commercials that we see, they tell you that you might have a risk of suicide. You might have thoughts
Right.
of this. You might have, because they don't know how our body's going to react. They may have 100 statistics, 1,000 statistics, but we're not going to identify every person's reaction based on how they take it.
Right.
Because
True.
we're all
Let's,
wired.
Right,
let's
so-
look at this from a standpoint of
Legalization.
data.
Yeah, real quick. Hold on.
Wait,
Real
He's got-
quick, real quick.
Joe.
Do we get a
Stephanie
question?
chimed in with a couple points. First of all, went back to our drug use. She said no asprin, no Tylenol. Right. So that is
Aw,
that is
Stephanie.
That could have reacted in a.
that is drug use, right?
How many times did that come across your?
All right. I will say this, Stephanie, at least for myself. I can't speak for Randall on this one. I do not like drugs, period. Right? So even when it comes to aspirin, Tylenol, or etc., I got to be in a lot of pain before I go there. I really do.
Yeah.
I avoid them, just generally speaking, as a whole, even aspirin.
Every drug has
So-
a side effect. That's
exactly.
what we need to do.
Anything that has a synthetic.
So
part of
it's
it is fine.
any kind of synthetic thing. I don't look at this the same
Very
way
much
as I look at Tylenol. I really do not.
Yeah.
Right?
Agreed.
Or
This-
the marijuana from Mexico or Colombia
There would
or
be some
Colorado.
people that would argue
I
about
know
that.
that's fine. We have this for thousands of years.
And water
marijuana,
was
too.
converted
Right.
into something like
Yes.
this
Right.
as
And
well.
So-
marijuana is a natural, not in synthetic.
I
There's
don't-
a lot of things that are natural. Doesn't mean you want to put them in your body.
I wanted to go.
I take out to the local
So-
cow
I wanted to-
pasture.
No, and I know this is
That's what I wanna
I know
say.
this is a
It's
drug.
natural.
Exactly
hang on,
right.
Go ahead,
An
Joe.
apple.
Hang on. I want to make sure we get all of Stephanie's points in here. She said it's a
I
drug
think
deal.
we're going to end up emptying the black
Yeah,
box,
I
too.
do not disagree. I just look at it differently. I look at this differently because it's a synthesized drug. When man steps in and
Boy,
starts
am I.
playing with
I'm
the
adjusting my
formula
rack.
to create Tylenol, I look at it differently than a fermentation of a grape. I really do.
On top of it's an over-the-counter drug.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's where I'm at with the whole drug use thing. She said then legalization will not stop or incite use, just removes the legal consequences.
Okay.
Everything is still a choice, right? So that's a great point.
Yes, it
we're
is.
just really talking about that, and that kind of goes to Angel's point.
Yeah.
Like legalize it, but that doesn't remove the personal decision and the level that you take it to. We have laws that address the level that we take it to,
Right.
When you get on the road
Because
and
you
you're
have to be
driving impaired, whether it's
Under
with
the
alcohol or
influence.
whatever, you're under the influence. We have laws that address the excessive use and how it's applied. So, that kind of, Stephanie, that kind of touches to Angel's point, and I think a couple of us have touched on that. And Stephanie says, of course, I'm baiting you.
Okay.
There you go. Okay,
know,
can
we
we
know.
look at the?
She has
And
to
we
take
know,
over a show, right?
we know,
Hey,
we
so
know.
what can I say this?
So now we've addressed the audience's comments now. So
Yes.
we got kind of a yes.
Randall, go ahead.
Oh,
Go
thank
ahead.
you. So I think we have to all be cautious and be mindful whenever you are citing data. You got to always wonder who is the
Know the
person who
source.
commissions the data.
That-
And when you reference the
Right.
Hudson
Yes.
Institute, when you
You
reference
gotta-
the Cato
you gotta
Institute,
consider- you gotta
those
consider
people
who
are
wrote that
hired
out.
guns. that are hired, and politicians, you'll never hear a politician have a statement that they reference.
no,
It's
they-
always,
some-
you'll hear them say,
some-
cited by the Hudson Institute, or
course,
cited by the guy.
But
all
overcome the
absolutes.
data. Don't do that.
No, there's no
I'm-
absolutes.
I'm seeing that right and
That's
left
not
on social
because
media.
there's the
Hold on.
opposite of that.
I'm seeing that right and left on social media, and I'm sorry. That's one of the things I say. I'm just flat sick of it. If you
It's
can,
true.
If you can overcome the data, then overcome the data. Don't dismiss data
Well,
just
you're-
because you don't like the source.
Wait a minute. You
It's
because
irrelevant.
there's source on the other side that says exact opposite.
That's right, and
Well,
that's
we
where
need
we
to know
need
where
to
that data
examine
came
the
from.
data. Source material.
So I'm telling you, go find out who commissioned what you're referencing.
I have been researching.
Okay,
that.
who commissioned it?
He's
I can tell you literally.
in the Hudson Institute.
Yeah.
He's not
Who
citing his
commissioned?
own data. He's citing the same research you just used.
No, I didn't use any research. First off, I just said
There
I
you
did
go.
not.
The
It's
facts,
our
the
data,
facts,
our
that-
evidence.
It's
the
my
facts
data.
that you
Personal
used came
opinion.
from
Our
the
own
same.
evidence that
There's
we
three
see.
main research points
That's
that are
all.
producing a lot of the narrative that you're seeing today. That you echoed a lot of that same narrative
Because-
it's coming from that research, and that research is tainted.
So the research. So, but yours is not. Your data is not.
I'm
tainted.
using the same research that
But
people are
there's-
using to make your
But
point.
there's data on both sides. There's
gotta
data
get
that
there
says
and
your
there.
data is tainted and wrong too.
You're not hearing me.
Hang on.
You're not hearing
The
me.
data that I'm using is the data that your side is using to make
My,
their point.
wait a minute, I have no side. I'm telling you my point.
Data
I have
can
no
be
side.
skewed to benefit
Stephanie just
whomever.
made a
Yes.
great comment. She
Of
says,
course.
right, data can be skewed to benefit whomever.
Yes.
And
So
that's
look.
the opinion.
But
The
you said,
majority of
I don't
people
know how to
that
make
watch
this clear
this
what I'm
and
saying
have
though. The
play in
data that
this,
I'm citing
that's their
is the
feeling.
same data that the pro-drug crowd has used as their evidence to say that marijuana is safe. And what he's showing from the Hudson Institute is showing that the sample, he went deeper, like you're saying to do. He went deeper into that research. The pool of the people they looked at, they were not habitual users. They included people who, I tried it once when I was 16. I used to do it a couple of times a month for about 6 months. They also went into other drugs. And so when you look at the way the data was compiled, if you followed it to its logical conclusion, you could conclude, based on how that research determined and presented that data, that alcohol and tobacco are more addictive than crack cocaine.
Okay, I'd like to point something out real quick. And I think it would be a nice bookend to this particular issue. We have several states, I believe Colorado's the main flavor of the month, that has passed a legalization of marijuana in their state, meaning that you cannot be prosecuted for possession or the use, from what I understand. Are there other states? I believe so. I just can't recite that.
Washington, I don't know
Washington,
all the
Oregon,
ones, yeah.
maybe.
Mhm.
But anyway,
Like
these
5 states
states have
20,
have these,
23,
and this is the political side. These
legalized.
sovereign
Yeah.
states, despite federal regulations or laws, these sovereign states have passed laws to say, okay, everybody that is a citizen of that state, we are not going to prosecute you. We're not going to say, boy, wow, that smells kind of interesting in your car.
Skunky in
Do you
there."
know how fast you were going? Okay, that's the extent of their interaction.
That
They can
depends
do
on
nothing
what
to
type
prosecute or enforce anything that used to be. So those states have recently passed this loosening of their laws to not prosecute the possession and use of that drug. Let's take a snapshot in about 10 years.
Well, we're
This
already,
is something that we should
what
have
every
in
generation
place
has been
to
waiting
say,
for.
okay, what are the factors of what is the state of our citizens are on a social basis,
But
on
it
a
just-
medical basis,
but that's
health
what, that's what
basis,
sparked the
anything that you want to
Statistics. It gives you more
classify.
data.
It's
Just go to
statistics.
Amsterdam.
Then we're going to have to revisit this.
That's what sparked the firestorm on my page that I administrate, okay? Is
Yeah.
because what they're seeing for the first time ever is
Can I
that
disagree
drug-related
here?
traffic deaths have surpassed alcohol-related traffic deaths.
But they're not
And the leading-
conclusive that it was
and
that
the-
out. That
yes,
there was
they
a,
are.
No, it was not.
The
Read it
leading-
again.
I
Read it
did.
again.
The leading cause of the drug-related deaths
It
was
was a death of
marijuana.
morality.
No, it was
And
not.
yes, it was. And the point, and you're welcome to find your own research.
No,
Randall.
I'll read-
Find-
I'll
Unfortunately,
read it a little
unfortunately,
bit
we're
further
going to
down
have
in
to
your
find
article.
I did.
a time. We're going to have to find a date that we're going to have to take a snapshot of the situation on many different subjects,
Post that
issues
requested.
involving the people that use it or don't use
But
it.
here's the thing
And
you
it's
can
going to
say.
have to take time. And unfortunately, that's going to be any deaths that are involved with it, any addictive
So
stats,
you can go to
any
Amsterdam.
cost of
that's what I'm saying.
paying for those
I
addictions.
think
This
it's still
is
only
one
a
aspect.
symptom that
Here-
you're trying to resolve.
Let me address this. Here's the thing. The common fig leaf that the pro-pot crowd likes to go to is to say, you can't overdose to a lethal level on marijuana, and that's used to say
I've
it's
tried.
safe. Okay, right. But here's the thing:
I've tried.
you can't overdose. You can't overdose on tobacco. You can't smoke
Yeah.
cigarettes and overdose. Does that mean cigarettes are safe? Right? It's a ludicrous argument. And the point is to look at this, that when you look at the number of states where marijuana is legal, look at the prevalence. To compare marijuana to alcohol is simply ludicrous. You've got exponentially.
Can I ask you a question?
Let me finish the
You can.
point.
Why are you
Let me
against
finish the
it?
point.
Why are you against it?
Because of the safety. The
What safety of
matter.
what?
If you have,
Safety for who?
That's the point that I'm trying to make to you, Randall. Listen to me, okay?
But if your safety is you care
I
about the
need
people's
to
safety,
be
why
able
don't
to
you worry
finish
about
the point.
prescription drugs, sugar,
if you have
all
the
these other
prevalence
things?
of alcohol use producing traffic
And
deaths
alcohol.
the way that you do marijuana, it would be catastrophic. You have a drug. Let's call it a drug, just for the sake of discussion. It's not even legal in half the states in the United States. Okay, there's no public advertising for marijuana. There's no TV ads, radio
used to
ads.
be.
There's no bars. There's not bars all over the place where you can go smoke pot. And yet already we're seeing it being the leading cause of drug-related traffic deaths in the United States. This was not in a
I thought
single
it was
state.
texting.
No.
This was all Texting is
Not true.
1/10
They had
of
no
1%.
conclusive
Maybe,
evidence
I
that it was
think-
marijuana that
Well,
caused the
okay,
accident.
so
Let me
so,
throw a
so
wrench.
well,
Can I
hold
throw
on.
a
Let me
wrench?
back up so
Go
I
ahead.
can agree,
Throw a
and
wrench.
then I'm going to go.
Sure.
So
There's
let
no
me back
conclusive
up.
evidence
Here's the
that
thing.
it was marijuana that caused it.
I'm not going to debate over the.
You can read it.
I'm
The
not
guy
going to
said
debate
it.
over the pissing contest of your data is right.
No, it's your
data
data.
is wrong.
You read the
That's
Hudson
fine.
Institute.
Here's the thing. But what we need to do is, if we find out that data is reliable, then that changes the conversation. Can we
No.
agree on that?
What I'm saying is, all you're referencing that they're saying that these deaths are caused by marijuana. He said in the article
Here
there's
goes
no
the wrench.
conclusive
Here goes
evidence
the wrench.
that it was the
wrench is
marijuana that
going
caused
in.
it.
The wrench is going in.
There's no evidence to say that the marijuana caused it.
That's like the same thing.
I'm just saying what you are reading from
I could
yours.
go out after drinking a whole bunch of wine, and they could say, well, just because my
just saying you're
just
using- you're
because
saying
my
that it
blood
was
alcohol
alcohol.
level is above the legal level, that doesn't mean my drunkenness caused the accident.
It
It doesn't matter.
Let me back
They
up.
measure all traffic.
They
deaths
don't
the
have
same
a
way,
they don't have a
Randall.
level of alcohol. They don't say do they have a number to say, hey, if you smoke this much weed,
This
you
is a
are impaired.
consequence to do
Or
this.
if you just took a puff and you got in a car. That is the
I
point I'm
actually
making.
have heard opposite.
They don't have a level,
Why?
so they can't say that they were impaired at all, other than that they had
Well,
some.
and that comes to another point: is that it's much
Well,
more
let's not
difficult
start
to
another
use
point.
marijuana to
But
without
it goes
without
back to
becoming
my
impaired.
point. They may not have even said that they even had other things that were going on, that they maybe the tire blew out and they hit it and they did have it and it caused it. They're
Right.
just using data that the guy was in the car. He may have had a puff of it, got in a car, did nothing that would have caused him to be impaired enough to
But
drive,
there's
but it
nothing.
caused an
But
accident.
there's
that
nothing
they
you're
had.
saying that
many of
applies
us-
It
any
would be
differently
easy,
to alcohol.
but it
How
would be
many
easy
of
to say,
us-
yes, he did have it in there, but it wasn't that caused the accident.
Agreed. Same thing with alcohol.
How many of
it's
us
still an
get a
alcohol-related
choice?
traffic death.
No, I'm saying when you're comparing it to, you're making people assume that, hey, they tested him and said you were above the legal limit.
Of what?
But he smoked a weed early this morning. He just took a
But he
puff.
had a
He's not
bag of
even
Cheetos
impaired,
in
but he
between.
had it in there. He had it in his system
I love
for a
Cheetos.
week. He had it in his system for a week. He's certainly not
Here goes
impaired.
the wrench.
But he is all of a sudden there's more
Yeah,
of them
there's-
because this guy was actually they proved he was impaired.
The actual testing of what is in your blood, the impairment, the main product in
altering-
marijuana is the THC. That is a fat soluble.
He wants in.
But we
So
have
that is a
but
fat
we have
soluble
cannabinoid
ingredient within
sensors.
marijuana that 30 days, I mean, when you ingest or you smoke marijuana, that stuff stays in your system for at least about 35 days. And you know what? You could smoke one weekend and just get blitzed out of your mind and have a good time.
And it'll still be
Nobody's
there a
going to
month
throw us.
later.
It's still going to be
That's my
resident in
point.
your system.
Same thing
So
with
if you go for a
aspartame,
random
with all
urinalysis
these fake
test like in the
sugars.
military and you have that, you pop positive on THC, guess what? Non-judicial punishment, boy, they're going to nail your ass to the wall. Beep. So,
You could use
what-
that same thing saying that they were. That's my point.
right.
In the
And
car.
so what we're
So let
looking
me
at
ask you a
here, what
question.
we haven't talked about is the addiction process of this. Whether or not marijuana is an addictive drug, I'm not so sure that that's really an issue. Alcohol certainly has been established as an addiction. If you socially
Everything
drink
would.
alcohol like we're doing, or if we're sitting around here smoking a bowl, okay.
Oh, he knows the term.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm not stupid, but you know, many people would think I am.
Never did.
It's, anyway, I'm just saying that your use of it is resident in your body with marijuana longer than alcohol is, because you can sleep
Yes.
alcohol off. Marijuana stays in your system, so it
So
is,
does the
and it
Spartan.
is an accumulative condition. You
We're still
will
waiting for his
have
wrench.
higher degrees of THC.
There goes
They'll
the
be
wrench.
able to scale it to say, hey, what were you doing about 3 weeks ago? Did you go to a party or something like that? They can actually get you down to about a day when you, what were you
We
doing
got
that
to
day?
squeeze them both.
Well,
So, I mean,
yeah.
hey,
Hold on,
it
throw
is-
the
We're
wrench.
waiting for his wrench.
I
We
want
know
the
that-
wrench.
they're getting
I'm
me some
so
wine.
ready for the wrench.
They're getting me some wine. I'm just gonna chime in with real quick.
Yeah.
No matter what side of the fence we fall on, it is a statistical fact that marijuana related car accidents have increased in Washington and in Colorado. This one says Washington.
But there's so
But
many.
it goes back to what we're saying is where's the
so
level
many.
of impairment that where's that? They could
That's-
have
that's
done that a
my
week
point.
ago
We
and
don't
been in the
know.
car.
There is-
So they
people
cannot
are
use the
using
data.
the
I
surveys
don't
that
think
say
that. I don't think in law, and I got lots of
Throw
friends
the
that are in law
wrench.
enforcement,
They're
and I'll
saying
be
that
stand to be
cause
corrected.
Guys,
made
just
a
stand
lesson.
up.
Is
Stand
there a
up.
way on
Let
spot?
him say. He
We've
has
been
got to say
waiting for a
something.
long
Yes.
time for Angel.
Go ahead.
Throw the wrench in there. I want the wrench.
How many
Give me
of
the
us
wrench. Hit
get a
me.
choice on the reaction level of the chemicals that they are spraying in the sky from all these plants? Do we get a choice of that? Do we know the consequences of what that causes in our bodies? Do we know that? We don't, because we're all under that influence, because we don't get to choose which air we breathe, right? But yet, all these chemtrails that have been going on for so many years, we have no clue how they've reacted in our body, because we've not been on the outside of the scope to realize, okay? So now we don't have a choice of that. We're all under the influence. How it affects us individually, independently, to our mind, or however, it's the way they design these drugs. But they can't statistically measure. These people will react all the same way, and these other people won't. It's the same choice we get to make, whether we smoke or we drink Diet Coke every single day, and we have the levels of sugar that are in our body. Whatever ingredients we put in ourselves, they can react differently in yours. It doesn't matter if we weigh the same, measure the same, our genes, everything about us is going to cause a reaction differently to whatever statistics that are written up.
That
Here's the
part I
thing,
do
we
agree
should
with.
all be able to agree with this. It says, no one is trying to underplay the dangers to be found in alcohol consumption. It's a substance with known risks and exorbitant cost. But to argue that because alcohol is dangerous, therefore we should admit cannabis, the true risk of which we are just discovering, into the same regulatory regime of access and use is certainly not justified by the actual research. Moreover, the pervasive reportorial neglect,
Reportorial
ignorance, and distortion concerning marijuana are at best unprofessional. We are talking about legalizing something that we do not know, that there is data out there. One says, on one side there's data and research that says it's a safe drug. There's data and research on the other side that says it's a poison. And that's where I would ask the question, if we're talking about cyanide, if we're talking about the right for someone to take a cyanide pill, which is natural, right?
Yeah.
To take a cyanide pill in their own bedroom, would we legalize that? And this comes back to what we
Homicide.
talked about with our founding. We are founded as a moral nation. Our laws speak to a morality. And if we're going to legalize something that lessens that value, we're it's a house divided against ourselves. And you had
David
we
kind
have-
of he has a little bit of a point there.
Just
but
what
what
we
I'm
all
saying-
did.
just a
We
little-
all
But we have
Yeah, we all have.
data. We have people for thousands of years that smoke weed that lived hundreds of years. It
Hey,
didn't kill
Bobby,
anybody.
for my
Didn't
little point-
die. We already have data. Some of
Okay,
the
we're
founding
going with
fathers
that.
actually
Well, we're
smoked
at-
some
with the
weed.
fact-
we're at a
Just kidding.
point.
We
We're at a
smoked
point
some
right
weed
now.
already. We already have that data.
We're at a point right now where politically and socially these worlds are coming together. And once where we were having the same discussion, some group of guys about 80, 90, 100 years ago were having the same discussion about, you know what, man, old Phil was out there at the bar or the saloon there, man, boy, he was chugging back and man, he fell off his horse and hit his head and he died. That's a shame, man. He was drunk off his butt. Okay, people started having more experiences like that, and so some people said, maybe
Let's
we
write
need to
some
say this.
statistics
So we are
on-
right now on the cusp of seriously developing some statistical data on the recreational use, the political and social acceptance of marijuana being used recreationally. We're going to get this data. It's unfortunately going to have some. Fortunately, it's going to have some great data.
Repercussions.
but it's going to take some time to get this stuff together.
And that's my
so
point.
we need to kind of, as much as I don't approve of it,
Right.
there's no way we're going to really stop.
And that's my point.
So,
Whether I approve or not, this is my point. We don't know if it's a drug. We don't know if it's a poison. Instead of waiting for more research, let's go and let people vote to see if they want to do it recreationally.
right.
That's
the
irresponsible.
sovereign states have the right to do that.
I know,
and
we've
they're
got
gonna
data.
do it.
But hold
We've
on.
got data that people don't go to Amsterdam.
Randall,
They've been
we've
doing
got-
it for a long
that's
time.
my
That's right. You
point.
go to a bar and
We've
buy
got
one for
data
$5.
on both sides.
I know.
There's people are not there. Ernest, I can go down the line of some people that have done some
So do
great
you want
things
America
and
to
they
be
live.
Amsterdam? Because
Look,
I think we did
I've
some research
already
on
been
that.
clear. I'm already clear that I don't want guys like
way over.
I'm already clear. I don't want guys like you telling me
here we
what I
go.
can do.
No, we're sipping the same wine right
Yeah.
No, I don't.
I'm not
Just
telling
like
you
you
what
don't
you
want
can't
me
do.
to tell you what to do.
So let me
Well,
let me
that's the
ask you
beauty
that
of it.
question.
What?
Let me
What
ask you
is
that
it
question.
with
the
volume?
system.
It hurts my
That's
ears.
I'm
crazy.
not gonna
That's
go.
crazy.
No, no, let me ask that
Yo
question
creo
then.
que cuando
Let's come
llegamos
back
allá
to
de
it.
México
If you
estaba
wanted
más
to take a cyanide pill, do you want me to support your legal right to do so?
I mean, first off,
Answer that question, please. If you want to take a
yes, I
cyanide pill.
should. Yes, I should because
Okay,
because
that's
I'm
where
gonna,
we disagree.
No,
It's not
no,
about people like you.
Hold
It's
on.
that's where we
Hold on.
disagree.
Disagree, right?
That's
Fine.
just a disagreement. Don't say people like you.
well,
That's not
because
necessary.
you just said that you don't want people.
Right,
If I
so
wanted
we are-
to smoke,
we are
weed,
here
because I
representing
don't
ourselves.
think
I'm representing myself.
because I don't think
So
our
don't say
government
people.
should be
Okay.
allowing people to
Okay, you.
to
I don't want
say
you.
have the right to take a poison.
I don't want you.
No, we don't have that right.
But
If-
is anybody
I do
in
have
this
the
room
right. I
or
should
out
have
there
the
watching
right.
the show going to take, oh, hey, look, this is a cyanide pill.
Let me
I
see
think
what
I'm going to take
happens.
cyanide. People are not stupid.
If they
okay?
haven't
That's
actually-
not,
if
that-
they haven't been told it's a
Actually-
cyanide pill, yes, they will. If
Yeah.
they've been told this cyanide pill is good for you, yes, they will.
well, then whoever
Well,
gave the
I
pill
think-
to
I
you
think
is a
you need to
murderer.
direct your
Okay?
attention to
Take the
something
blue
that's
pill,
way more damaging to our society, and that's prescription drugs.
I think it still
If you're
falls
really
back.
concerned about people's safety, I think you should direct it towards something that is out of control, and that is
It
our
still
pharmaceutical
falls back
industry.
to a self-discipline.
Yes.
If we
But
are
that is legal.
of ethical, moral, foundational principles, we should be able to know where to measure ourselves.
Right.
We can't go publicly to a restaurant and stay beyond 10 o'clock without having police officers having to monitor the environment. Why? Because people don't know how to control themselves. And I think that's pretty much the whole choice, whether
But
you want to eat
the
the cyanide
country
pill.
that citizens are free and are at liberty to
Yeah, under barbed wire
to
and cameras.
absolutely destroy themselves if they choose to do that.
Yeah.
The
And they do.
destructiveness
Most
of
of them take out
marijuana,
as well.
alcohol, any illicit drug is out there for anybody to discover for themselves. And
But-
as
but
much
if
as
it-
I would like to tell people, you know what, that's really not a good idea to do that.
That's right. But you
I
You
can't-
gotta give them the right to
I can't morally tell anybody other than, you know what, that's really not a good
But
thing
if
to
the
do.
destruction doesn't stop with themselves, that's where I'm saying, as
Where-
a constitutionalist, government
Exactly,
has a
there
right
is a
to
fine
step in.
line. There is a
That's
fine line.
the
That's
only
why
point.
we have
That's how it's written.
DUI.
Right.
We have DWI laws in all 50 states.
Exactly right.
We have regulated it. We have decided that that's still a prosecutorial threshold that needs to be met. So
In Scripture, how did it say it? If you go choose and you try to reprove your brother, and he doesn't listen, then you bring somebody else of another, and you conversate and you tell them, it's like, this is what's going on. You're actually a risk factor now. So unless you control yourself and figure out where you're actually going to fit into this,
well,
You don't
we're now.
belong there.
I understand the biblical side of this, but we're in a social condition where
where
if
that's
I tell
actually
you
ignored.
or anybody else here, don't do that, well, what the heck are you
Who
going
are
to do? You
you
could be
to
a
tell?
50-year-old man and say, how dare you tell me what I can do and what I can't do? That's the condition we're in right now. Joe, boom, go.
6:15.
Well, you know what? We're past the time that we're normally done, but you know that normally doesn't matter on our show, in all honesty.
The cameraman's hand is
Yes.
numb.
We've had a ton of comments on this show. Phenomenal. Like with all things, we're not going to solve all the world's problems right here today,
We did solve this one.
but we sure solved killing this bottle of wine. But I'll say this. It's healthy discussion, just like this, that brings us closer to the truth, right? I would think if anybody watched this show, no one would say that we didn't passionately argue all sides of the issue. And yet, you know what? We're all still friends.
Yeah, and on that point, Randall, it's because you and I were the most.
Oh,
Cheers.
yes,
Cheers.
I'm
Because
glad
you
it
made
was
good
them and
points.
not the color.
Cheers.
Don't
Cheers.
leave me hanging
Hey,
here.
ask
Right.
Abraham Lincoln how that marijuana was.
Hey, there was a time period where
Did
they
he
were
get a hole
all
in his
doing
head?
snuff.
Yeah,
Hey.
that's right.
Hey,
11 presidents.
Hey, listen,
11.
listen. There was a time period where they were all doing snuff.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all remember that little
Yeah,
And
snuff
drinking
box?
Coca-Cola.
And you know what snuff was?
Cocaine was
It
in
was
Coke.
Coke.
Well,
It
there
was
was,
Coke.
there was a time when mercury was given
Yes.
as an elixir to
Yeah.
actually preserve life.
So,
And that they would drain your blood.
And they would also.
So I wanna thank everybody-
bloodletting.
I want to thank everybody for watching, tuning in, and commenting on the show. It's always a blast. If you want to be a part of the show, either hop on the Facebook page, facebook.com/wine, no wine. Leave us a comment, like, rate, share the page. If you want to be on the show, go to winenowine.com. Put your name in the hat. Drop us a subject if you want to talk about it. I promise I'll try to remember to get to it.
I will promise to remind
If
you.
you have time.
This is a solo gig right now, and David's helping out, Steve's helping out. It's all volunteer work right now. Bobby back behind the scenes
Bobby
there.
behind the
Yes,
Shout out.
Bobby, do it.
Working
Do
the
it from
camera.
Get it from
To
the
Bobby.
Salute
man.
to Bobby.
Salute.
That's right. Bobby's working the camera right now. This is all a
Video,
volunteer
sound
gig.
crew, everything.
We're trying to do our part to fix America because America's like the little kid that you need to stick in the corner and give a swat because
Oh, yeah. You need to take it.
right? Because we've
That's
been
a great idea.
we've lost the ability to disagree civilly, and you just get to watch it right here, right now. We disagreed, we did it civilly, and we had a great time doing it.
And passionately.
Yeah, and passionately,
That's
absolutely. So tune in every Friday at 5 o'clock to witness this crazy stuff and be a part of the show. We love it. So, we enjoyed a great wine. I'm biased right there, listen to that. We enjoyed a wine today called the Reserve Bank. It's from South Africa, of all places. We get to enjoy some freaking awesome wine on this show from all around the world. And this is a red blend. We're going to now rate the wine and get our guest thoughts on what they, thought about the wine. So, Steve.
Okay, this is going to be easy. I've been on the
Lost my
show
grapes.
for all 5 episodes so far, and I'm going to close this thing out. This is by far the 5th week,
Yeah.
and this sucker's going to
Use
get
mine,
5 grapes because it's the best
I'll
one
pass it on.
that I've had in the entire history of the show.
In the entire history of the show.
It is.
All 5 shows.
All 5 shows, believe me.
Plus
It's-
this month.
I've had to
Come
wade
on.
through some really bad stuff and stuff that I wouldn't buy, but this right by far, I would buy this and it would be something special. So it starts off great, it's smooth, it finishes good, it doesn't insult my palate. So
Wow.
this is something that I thoroughly
Unlike
enjoy.
Randall's opinion,
He's
Oh
just
my
it
God.
doesn't,
I'm gonna come in.
it
So I'm
didn't
good.
insult my
I'm
palate.
gonna come in. So I don't drink.
Oh.
But if I did drink, I would give that a 5 because it
Whoa.
was actually good.
Tastes very
Africa,
good.
Africa is
It
going.
did. It actually
South
had-
Africa.
I
Yes.
had to- I don't have anything to compare it to, but it actually was not that bad.
Welch's grapefruit juice.
Compared to that, yeah.
I've got to say,
That's sugar.
That's true.
hands
So is
down,
this.
I have
Yeah.
to agree with Steve. Best wine so far. I'm in a wine club. I get this wine every month. If you want to learn about the wine club, hit me up. I'll tell you about it. We get wine from all around the world that we get to enjoy. Hands down, best so far. Got to agree with Steve. Great finish. It's got like a nice kind of a raspberry flavor going on. Very smooth. I could absolutely see this with the common meal, the burger, that sort of thing. It's just a very accessible.
or the steak.
Or the steak, yeah. I mean, it's just a very accessible wine. Fantastic stuff. Kudos to South Africa. Y'all nailed it on this one.
I'm going to say, first of all, kudos to you guys for putting up with me. I know I get very impassioned. Have you noticed? Right?
That's why we have you on the
But-
show.
But I will say this, that in my, this is our 5th show, this is my 3rd time to be on the show. I first, Joe is one of the few people on social media that I've actually made friends with before I ever
Via
met
social media.
face to face, right? And
Algorithm.
that's just an awesome thing. And then getting to meet people, including Randall,
Yes.
including Steve,
Including
and including
his
Angel,
people.
and including Bobby, who was an awesome job on the first show. Bobby, you got to be on more, man. You're awesome. We don't
Yeah.
agree
He's
on
been on
everything,
twice.
but you're good, man. We got to have him on more. But so that said, first of all, five great show to everybody. You grape heads, all right? Cheers.
Grape heads!
To the grape heads, right?
One more.
All right, and yes, I agree with everybody on the wine. This thing, I could drink this with just about anything. I love red. That's my preference.
Very tasty.
And yeah, I agree with your assessment 100%. I could drink this with a burger, with meatloaf, with a steak, whatever. I would enjoy this with just about anything.
Good stuff.
So,
Yeah,
thank
good
you
stuff.
guys. God bless.
Hey, man. I am going to be the weird one out here and just throw the 4 out there. Why? Because I mostly drink IPAs, ales, and pilsners and stuff. But I am, from the wine that I have tasted, I'm not into the dries. So I do like the fruitness of it, and it did not make my tongue stick to the palate of my top. So I liked it. It's very, very savory.
4, very solid. So we
Yep,
got like,
4.8.
we got a
That gives you
4.8 rating
5,
on
10,
this.
10,
Yeah, yeah.
so it's, 20,
Wow.
24.
Y'all figured that
Is that
fast.
the
20?
highest rating?
That's our
I
highest
think
rating
so,
so far.
yeah.
It is. It is.
I think
So is this
so.
what we're going to be serving tomorrow?
I don't know. I've got a whole box of wine in there that we're going to be serving tomorrow. Great segue, by the way, because I had kind of forgotten already. We have a kick butt show tomorrow lined up, Saturday from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock. We're doing an art exhibition and a free wine tasting. And this is the quality of wine that we're serving right here.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah.
From around the world,
He's
extravagant
saying it'll be
wine,
worth it.
reserve
I've already got
quality
tickets.
wine,
He's gonna be
great
impaired.
stuff, and it's all free.
By choice.
And we're supporting local artists like Angel right here, who
You
makes.
shouldn't have thrown that in. They're gonna be
You got
like,
stuff that's gonna be. I didn't know
Who's
that.
No,
who
that's
have
stuff.
awesome things like this wine rack here that he's
One's
gonna
going to be
have.
raffled off. He got to choose
He's
one.
gonna
actually.
give away a wine rack tomorrow.
And he's
I
going to
mean,
make one
give
for each
away.
guest of the show, right? Each one of us get a one, right?
That depends if they legalize it or not.
Oh, man.
Yes.
That might change my vote. No,
Right,
I'm just kidding.
right? So, I mean, some incredible artists. You know, I had the coolest experience. Angel and I hung out at their gallery last weekend.
Yes, Gemma Visions.
And I had one of the artists come up while I was checking out a piece, and he goes, "Did you see?" And he starts talking about the piece, and he explained all the stuff in the piece. And I was like, I don't know
Wow.
jack about art, all right? I mean, I'll be very honest, right? I do photography pretty decent,
We're gonna
but
marry
I don't
you.
know anything about art. And he started pointing out stuff in the piece, and I was like,
What a
oh,
concept.
dang! Yeah, I see that. It was really
Big
cool.
concept.
And so, just from an experience standpoint, come out, have a glass of wine, and hang out with some very talented artists right here in Houston. Support the local artists in our community. Art, wine, it's good for the soul. It really is. I mean, I believe that with all my heart. To develop an appreciation for creativity is a very positive thing. So
Gotta
tomorrow, from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock, go to my page, Joe Orsack. If you just hit that, you'll see plenty of the art and wine links. I put links up so you can RSVP. Please RSVP so we know how much wine to have.
Oh, yeah.
Bringing wine for like 100 people, I'm not Jesus, all right? So I can't do the wave the hand thing, and then we got some extra wine. I have to wave the credit card.
And
So
we're doing a paella too.
we're
got the lights
empty.
as
We're
well.
empty.
We got the lights as well, and there's a paella going to be served
Yes.
as well throughout the event.
He's a mean cook, let me tell you. He makes some great tasty stuff.
Got a dabble.
And we're trying to get enough likes and shares for the videos to motivate him to make some of his paella.
Oh,
which
we
is-
already hit the number.
Right,
Already
okay,
hit the
so
number.
we hit the number. So, but like and share anyway. So
Yes.
anyway,
Come on out.
thank
Go
you
ahead.
guys for tuning in. Another great show. Appreciate y'all being a part of it. We'll see you next Friday, 5 o'clock.
Different.